Hello guys, and welcome to this video. Today I want to address some very often asked questions. I often get asked, how long have you been training? What have you been training? What are you doing? So I thought today would be a perfect day to make a timeline of what I have been doing to get to where I am now. And if you guys are wondering why my throat is so raspy, it's because I've been screaming of my brother all week. He's in the semifinals at CrossFit Games. Hopefully he qualifies to the finals, and then we'll go to USA, Michigan to see him compete. But yeah, that's where we start. I, like my little brother, also started in CrossFit. And it's actually pretty funny because it started when I stopped going to soccer, or football as we call it here in Europe. My mother said to me, she was like, Regin, you can't sit around all day not doing shit. Either you find a sport you compete in, or you come with me to CrossFit. And I didn't find a sport, so I came with my mom to CrossFit. And we started doing it as a family, and I started seeing some pretty good results, like gained some definition, gained some strength, and so on and so forth. And I really enjoyed it at the start of it. Remember, I was about 14 till 15 in these clips. For about a year and a half or 2 years I did CrossFit, and I really enjoyed it. One of the years I tried competing in the open to see how competitive I was for the games, and I didn't place very well. I was very strong, but my cardio wasn't the best. I didn't enjoy the cardio training. I didn't really enjoy the cardio aspect of CrossFit. I don't know if I'm too lazy, I'm not built for it, but yeah. That was actually one of the primary reasons, other than growing tired of CrossFit as a whole. That was one of the primary reasons I stopped doing it. Flash forward a couple of months, I couldn't really let that feeling of dopamine and energy go to waste. So I just started in a commercial gym, started bodybuilding, doing the classic Arnold split. So one day I would do arms, one day I would do chest, one day I would do back, the next day I would do shoulders. And occasionally, when my legs were lucky, they were getting hit as well. And that's what really kickstarted this. Just started training and I really got in the groove. Then I got a girlfriend and I stopped training for about half a year. But we broke up. And your boy, he had to get those heartbreak gains. So back in the gym he went, and I couldn't really stop from there. So I started training again. I really got into it this time. It was like a fire lit inside me about this gym thing. And this was also in the era when sudden Gymshark athletes started popping up everywhere. And like the gym culture really started growing like something fucking dope. People looked like something taken straight out of a comic book. I was like, I can do that as well. So I started training, not just once, but sometimes twice a day. I really saw some great results in that time. The sun is burning my eyes. We'll roll some clips of when I was 16 till 19 and I started going into it at the gym. Just a commercial gym, just doing bodybuilding, trying to get as big as possible. I actually only think I did that for about a year. And the issue I found with just doing bodybuilding, that's just my personal experience, I got too caught up in what body fat percentage I had and how big my muscles were, how toned I looked. And I didn't really like my headspace right there. So I got a friend named Benjamin. He said to me, Regin, why don't you compete in a strongman competition? And that's something whole different than bodybuilding. It's performance. It's how strong can you be at a certain time? And something just switched inside me. I knew this was something I wanted to do. And I started working towards my first competition. It was pretty funny because I had to weigh in at minus 90 kilos for my first strongman competition, and that was hectic. So I competed in my first strongman competition. I cut down 6 kilos in 3 weeks, not the most healthy and good thing I've done to my body ever. But that time really gave me some good ass experience. And in the first strongman competition I did, I placed third. And that is the only competition ever I haven't placed first. Ever since then, in terms of strongman, I have competed in the -115 category and won Roskilde Strongest Man. And I have competed twice in the open class and won Roskilde Strongest Man. And I can unfortunately only compete in Roskilde Strongest Man here in Denmark because it's the only strongman competition that has a partnership with Anti-Doping Denmark. It's a doping-free competition. I really wish that there were more competitions at home that I could compete in and not get in clutch with the system. But yeah, it is what it is. And you guys know I'm doing something. I'm doing some movement in powerlifting. At the competition, someone named Pia said to me, Regin, you would be a great powerlifter. And I didn't really think much of it because, yeah, powerlifting was just squat, bench, and deadlifting, right? Flash forward a couple of months and I met a guy named Andreas. Me and Andreas became really close. And Andreas did powerlifting. And he was like, all right, Regin, I'll make a program for you and we'll just do this. And it was the fucking classic 3x5, just go as hard as you can. Progressive overload, 2.5 kilos each week. And we did that and we fucking, wow, we got some results. But just around that time, the pandemic hit, like the corona pandemic. The gyms closed and I was like, all right, I just really got into this. What am I gonna do now? And luckily my mom worked at a place where they had some access to gym equipment. The first few weeks of the pandemic was just me doing handstand shit and movements I could do with my body, like squatting with my siblings and doing lunges with them on my back. It was quite hectic. But once we got the equipment home, me and Andreas was training every day with that equipment. And we only had a barbell. We had like 250 kilos of weight. And it was just squat, bench, and deadlift all day. Everything you could do with a barbell, we did. So squat, bench, deadlift, military press, like heavy lunges, Romanian deadlift, all the good basic shit. It was such a fantastic experience. And we trained in the harshest weather ever. If you guys know, the weather here in Denmark isn't that great. Actually, really great weather today. But normally, it isn't the greatest weather. The winter is pretty cold and the summer's pretty rainy, but I like Denmark. It's pretty good. It's not too warm, not too cold. It's pretty nice. But we trained in the harshest weather. It was the most raw shit you could ever fucking imagine. And it really sparked something in me. And Andreas quickly realized that I really had some potential. The records back then, like 3 years ago, was 300 kilos in deadlift. So I just tunnel visioned to that 300 kilos in deadlift. I just knew I wanted that. I needed to get that. Kom nu! Yeah! And that was when I really started to realize I can do something in terms of powerlifting. Maybe I should sign up in a club. And I signed up at Naturlig Atlet, and ever since then I have been competing, and I'm really glad. I am really happy that I opened my eyes up to not just powerlifting, but mixing it up with bodybuilding. And that brings me to where I am today. About 1.5 years ago, I competed in my first powerlifting competition. Sjællandsmesterskaberne. I don't know what you say in English, but it's a region of Denmark and it's a championship of that region. I competed in that. I think in my first competition actually in powerlifting, I did a 280 squat, I benched like 170, and I did a 325 kilo deadlift. I pretty much broke every record there was to break. And I came in this shooting star and people didn't really know who I was, and I did a fantastic job. And from there on, it actually started before with all the doping accusations, but that doesn't really matter. That's not what the video is about. From there on, I was like, all right, I'm gonna stick with this until I'm the best. Let's flash forward to now. I'm the best. I made the highest total in Danish history, and I'm just the fucking best in Denmark. There's nothing to say about it. I'm sorry guys, this isn't to be arrogant or anything, but I'm the best in points and I have the heaviest total in Denmark. I don't want to put a fucking shelf on that anymore. I'm the fucking best, okay? Sorry. fucking rant. Fucking dope. All right. But yeah, last year I did my first junior nationals, where of course I won it all. I broke the heaviest deadlift in Danish history, both equipped and classic, not counting strongman because that's a whole nother sport. Then I took a year off. I wanted to go to Japan. I wanted to have a really great off season. Because of my results, I got assigned to the whereabouts list. And I don't know if I've told you guys this, but the whereabouts list is a part of WADA. WADA is the World Doping Agency. I got on that list and I'm still on it. Ever since then, I have been doping tested about 11 times, just from the whereabouts list. My first doping test came when I was 17, just at a commercial gym. Just a guy came up to me, he was like, bam, bam. I'm from Anti-Doping Denmark and I would like to test you. Okay, cool. And then he asked how old I was and I said, well, I'm 17. And he was like, all right, I'll need to speak to your parents then, because they have to go with you to the toilet to make sure you don't cheat the urination sample. I think in total I've been tested about 14 times, just on and off, sometimes in competition, at home, and just random places like a commercial gym. Flash forward to where we are now. If you guys haven't watched the video on the last competition I did, we'll put a link to it down in the description. Just to recap it for you all, I became the best. Here in Denmark, of course. There's probably a lot of things I forgot to tell you guys about, but we'll probably get to that in the future. You'll get to know as much about me as possible. I'll make sure of that. I just wanted to give you guys a quick recap on how my training journey has been till now. And to talk about now, we have to address ambitions for the future. And of course, I am hoping I get the blue stamp to go to IPF. Possibly I could claim a world champion title. That would be great. Maybe set some world records even. I am aiming for that. I'm really passionate about this, and I'm sure some of you are aware that most of my time I spend on training. I spend on making videos about training. I spend on coaching people and getting them to know about training. But yeah, the most important aspect of training for me is that I enjoy it and I can do it with my whole heart. So I don't really care what I'm doing as long as I'm happy and enjoying the process. Because it doesn't matter if you're a powerlifter or a bodybuilder or CrossFit or Strongman. I really admire different people in all the industries, and I've collected a lot of knowledge and experience from doing all of that, and that's why you can not only see me do squat, bench and deadlift, I also think I look relatively good. Maybe one day I'm gonna compete in bodybuilding, I don't know. That would be fun because that's what really ignited the flame in the first place, right? I'm probably gonna go do some strongman competitions in the future as well, but it all depends on how the powerlifting journey stands right now, and I really enjoy doing powerlifting. I'll just keep the flame burning bright, making sure that I give it my all. But yeah, I think that's a wrap for this time. Thank you guys for watching. Just write in the comments if you have any questions about anything. I'll do my best to answer them as quickly as possible. But if you have any questions about anything, shoot a comment.